Truth Talks. Breaking news.
Hello, everybody. I know some people are in the chat waiting on us who are a few minutes late. Hi, Sims National, I think it is. Hi, Jackson Girl. I'm so glad you're here. Hello, Lori. Hey. Oh, hold on a second. Can you guys hear me twice? I'll be right back. Can you guys hear me twice? All right, I'm back. Hi, everybody. I'm Jodi G, Jodi Gomes. For those of you that don't know me, I am a TV producer, and I executive produced and created, actually, the Jackson Family Dynasty, which was their first and only ever documentary series the family did. I think we did it on A&E. I also directed the Janet documentary, and I won an Emmy. So I'm always sort of tied in with the family. I will always be a loyal friend, whether I'm working with them or not. And next to me is the great, amazing Bill Whitfield in the house. Hi, Bill.
Hey, Jodi.
How are you?
Doing well. Out here in this 113 degrees outside.
You are in Vegas?
Yes, I'm in Vegas.
Bet on black. You know, my lucky number is 7, and Michael's lucky number was 7. He used to tell me that all the time because he would refer to himself as 7. This is one little secret that we can already start sharing about Michael, because we're all here to celebrate Michael Jackson, not just the king of pop, but the man that we knew. And if you know me, you know I have not, you can Google my name, and I have not said the words Michael Jackson publicly, because I just don't. I don't talk about him, and my memories of him are mine. You know, and I've just kept it that way until now, because I'm so glad the movie's doing well, and I see everybody else is kind of talking about him. So I was like, let me just do something fun. Let me get with Bill. Bill's my Scorpio teammate. So I'm like, let me get with Bill, see if we can talk some fun up about Michael and stuff that people just don't know. So here's the first thing. There's 9 kids in the Jackson family, and on some of their voicemails and in their own language, they refer to each other as the number that they were born. So sometimes if you call Janet's phone, she goes, "Hi, it's 9, leave a message." Wow. So Michael was 7. Wow. And my lucky number is 7 because I was born on the 7th. So we used to talk about that. And that's my first MJ story that I've never discussed. I know it's not a whammy, okay, but it's a good warm-up. Good warm-up. So Phil, for those of you that don't know you, I see a lot of people starting to pop up in the chat. Tell us a little bit about who you are and what you were to Michael in his life. And I know a lot of people have seen your wonderful book, which I'm going to put up on the screen here. People have either read the book or seen the movie. I did both. I actually have the audio book, and then I watched the movie on Lifetime. But you are the genius behind this amazing book, Remember the Time, Protecting Michael Jackson in His Final Days. Right. And then I think the movie was called Leaving. Don't let me say it wrong. Searching for Neverland. Searching for Neverland, which Suzanne DePass did, which is my mentor. And so I'm very proud of everything that you put in that book, and I'm so excited about all the stuff that you sort of displayed in the book and talked about. But I know you have a ton more that is in the vault. So I wanted us just to get on here, take some questions from the chat, and see if we can spread some MJ love today. So tell us, for those that don't know, how did you meet Michael? Because I think it's the funniest story. And quite frankly, it fits in with a lot of the ways that people meet Michael. It's so bizarre.
Well, my meeting him was certainly not scheduled or planned. It really was not. I was hired to do, what we do. And first of all, I've been doing personal security for almost 30 years. And, just to start off from the top a little bit, for those that don't know, yes, my name is Bill Whitfield. I'm the former personal security to Mr. Jackson. And
Chief security.
Chief security, chief security, but, I emphasize personal because, we weren't individuals that just escorting him from point A to point B. We certainly did a lot of personal things that helped us out. I mean, taking care of the vehicles, making sure the vehicles was good, clean, well kept, and well maintained. So we took care of things like that. So that on a personal level, whether it was running personal errands for him. So I emphasize personal security.
I love that.
I was chief of security, but personal security were things that we carried out, me and my team. So we emphasize personal security. Yes, meeting Mr. Jackson the night I met him was not planned. Not for me, it was not planned. I was called to see if I was available. Well, 2 weeks prior to my meeting him, I was called and asked, was I available to do a security detail, meet a client at Point A airport, and escort them to their residence, maybe 20, 25 minutes outside of the Las Vegas Strip, and which is something I've done plenty of times before in my profession. And I just thought it was another routine detail. But I found it very strange that the individuals that contacted me, they didn't tell me who the client was.
Is that abnormal?
No, that is normal. That is normal.
Okay.
Because again, my responsibility was to ensure safe passage from point A to point B.
Right.
So, it was odd that they didn't tell me, because the individual that hired me for the detail, he was also a personal friend of mine.
Oh, okay.
Someone that I trusted very well, and I guess he was under a cloth of secrecy, So and I was fine with that. I really was.
That's very much par for the course when dealing with the Jacksons, and Michael especially. It was always cloak and dagger. Everything's cloak and dagger.
It was definitely under wraps. So, but what I found more strange, that we prepped for his arrival for almost 2 weeks.
Really?
Yes, we mapped out 3 different pathways from the airport to his residence.
Okay.
We had 3 different routes that we could have taken if something happened leading up to that evening.
Were you thinking this must be like some dignitary or some prince coming in? Did you think, it must be a celebrity? Or were you like, 2 weeks out, that's a lot?
I tell you, I thought at the time, because the individuals that was heading his detail at the time was the Nation of Islam. Okay, so I was pretty much at that time, I was following their rules or what was going on, and so I was pretty much following things under them, seeing, because they knew, but I didn't know.
Right.
I tell you, it and because it was a nation, and they kept everything under wraps, kept it quiet and secure. It was a point in time. I laugh when I'm going to say this, but it was just for a moment or two. I said to myself, "Is this Bin Laden?" They can't. It was Bin Laden. And
I said, no, bigger.
That's why they can't find, because America was looking for him at the time. He had like a $25 million bounty on his head. And
I'm ready.
I said, no wonder they can't find him. But I said to myself, when we get to the airport, if he gets off that plane, I'm collecting that $25 million.
I would have hit you up.
I'm saying, right? No. So, yeah, I was thinking all kind of things. It was crazy, but even
before you finish that story, Bill, let me just let everybody in the chat know. So, Bill and I, this is the first of one of many specials that I'm going to do in interviewing people that are inside the world of Michael's life that I know personally, that I know Michael knew personally, and if you want to continue seeing these maybe once a month or once a week, you got to become a channel member. So as you're here, click on the subscribe button, but also I dropped in the link, and it should be in the link now, where you can click and become a channel member. And once you see that, you'll see the different membership levels. Click on the Jackson family, or I think it says King of Pop Army. Click on that membership, because that's the one where you'll get exclusive videos. I'm opening up my own literal cell phone of personal videos, and I'm going to be posting them for members only. Bill, I might get some extra stories out of you and put some clips in there for members only. So make sure you click on the link. It's the first link in the pin down here, and subscribe, but also become a channel member. Okay, and then this is going to be live until about, I think, another 45 minutes or so, Bill. And then we're going to switch over to members only mode. So you better get in there quick while you can. Sorry, Bill, go ahead. So
No.
now it ain't Bin Laden and it ain't the 25 million.
Well, it wasn't him. You know, and I kind of recognized that when, but I didn't know it was Mr. Jackson. When we got to the airport and he came down the stairwell from the plane, I only seen a figure, and it was cold that night. I remember it was like something like 22 degrees that night.
Because it was around Christmas or something, right? Wasn't it December he came back?
It was like 3 days before Christmas.
Yep.
Yeah. So again, I didn't see him or see who he was when he came down the stairwell.
Wait, but I gotta ask deeper questions.
Sure.
What was he wearing that you didn't recognize the most recognizable man in the world?
Black pants. Did have on some black loafers.
That's Mike.
He didn't have the white socks, you know, which was something always that stood out. But it was cold, and he had on almost like a quarter length jacket.
Oh, okay.
And he had a scarf on.
I was gonna say, was his face covered?
His face was covered with a scarf.
Okay.
Again, because it was cold. It really was. So when he came down the stairwell and got into the vehicles, I didn't know who he was. And he was thin, and really for the moment I thought it was a woman. Yeah. I really did. And so it wasn't until we were heading toward the residence, and that's when my partner said to me, he said, "Did you see who it was?" I said, "No, I just saw some chick." And he said,
"That's
no.
Hilarious."
And he said that was Michael Jackson. I didn't believe him at all.
Why?
I didn't believe him because I always thought someone of Michael Jackson's status traveled with a huge entourage.
Right.
And the only people that came in that evening was the nanny, which was Grace.
So I love
the 3 kids, and his personal assistant.
Okay.
That was it.
Was that Scott at the time? It wasn't Evie, I don't think, at the time. Evie? Who was the personal assistant at the time?
A guy named John Feldman.
Oh, John. Okay.
So I didn't.
That was it.
Yeah, that was it. And I would, when he told me that it was Michael Jackson, I didn't believe him. I really didn't. I felt that he was playing tricks with me, but I was like, okay, whatever. So we get to the house. I helped with bring the luggage inside the house, and I figured we got to the house safe and sound. Everything's cool. I told him, "So is that it? I'm about to get up out of here." And he said, "No, hold on. The client wants to meet you."
Oh, how funny!
And I'm like, that was strange to me too.
Did the clients not typically want it? Well, the clients, you usually can see them, so
sometimes you can see them. There's times I've done security details where I didn't see the client. I was more concerned with anyone being there that was not supposed to be there.
Yeah.
Anyone disturbing the situation or scene. So everything went smooth. It was late, cold. So everything went smooth. And so when he said the client wants to meet you, I said, okay. When I went inside and the guy introduced me, at first they said, "Mr. Jackson, this is Bill Whitfield." And he turned around. You did hear him? The back of my neck stood up. I'm not a starstruck person. I've been around plenty of celebrities.
Right.
But it was so unexpected.
Yeah.
Who I'm meeting right now. Like, wow.
And let me just add to that. So Michael had this otherworldly presence. Let me fix my camera because something's going crazy. Hold on. You see a lot of blue? I see a lot of blue. Hold on. Okay, there we go. I always tell people Michael has a presence that's very unexplainable unless you experience it. Like he has this otherworldly presence, but then at the same time he's so normal. So it's this weird juxtaposition of giant personality, but then he's like, "Hey, what's up?" So it just throws you completely off.
Yeah, I think the world itself put him on a
Untouchable.
yeah, well, they put him on a level that I think warranted, and you felt there's almost a calmness around him, but it's
Mm-hmm.
also a level of respect, certainly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But you just felt an aura being around him, and his presence. It was different.
Yeah.
Nothing I've ever experienced before. I
Yeah.
mean, and
I,
especially for the first time, So
Yeah,
it was.
I say that all the time. Like the two people I've ever met, and I've met a lot of celebrities, and people know, like I used to run Magic Johnson's company. I ran Eddie Murphy's company, both when they were both at the height of their fame. I did the Jackson Family movie, the first one with Suzanne DePass. And so I've always worked around people at the top of their game, but there's something about Michael and Prince, Rogers Nelson, that have this, when they walk in the room, the air shifts.
It,
And it
it, it, it
sounds
was, it was
weird,
different.
but they're different. They're just a
Different.
different
Yeah.
type of dude.
Yeah. It was definitely different.
Yep.
Things.
Yep.
It's almost like everything stood still sometimes, which that
Yeah.
has happened.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
we've been out before, and we walked into the back door of a mall once, and maybe for the first 5 to 10 minutes, things was cool, smooth, everything is. And then once that one person recognized him and yelled out his name,
It was
it's
a wrap.
it was like for a moment everything stopped.
Mm. And you didn't have like a team around you, right? It was just you and Javon? That's most times, I guess.
When we went to the mall, anytime we went to the mall out and about like that, we had a team.
Oh, okay. Okay.
We had a team, at least 4 to 5.
Okay. Okay.
But but sometimes when we did travel, hit the road, majority of the time it was just me and Javon.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it was interesting.
So you meet him and he's mystical, and he immediately like just makes you the dude, right? Doesn't he just like, oh my God?
We introduced ourselves to each other, and prior to me meeting him, I was told to fax my resume and a copy of my driver's license to a number, and that number it was a foreign number. It wasn't within the States, and on my resume it did show that I used to work for Motown Records in New York. I was head of security for Motown, under when Andre Harrell was president. And that was on my resume.
Rest in peace, Andre.
Yeah, it was good dude, good friend.
Very good dude.
Obviously, he's seen Motown on my resume, and that one of the first things he said. He said, "So you worked for Motown?" And I said, "Yes, sir." And he said, "Well, that's where a lot of memories have started back then."
Oh.
I just said, "Yes, sir." Anything he was going to say to me that night was going to be yes, sir.
Yeah.
I was still stuck on. I was a fan. I was a fan at that moment. I was a fan. That was it. I was stuck.
I no doubt. Yeah,
I was stuck.
And he's so gracious with so isn't he really gracious about I felt like Michael would shrink. He knew exactly who he was, right? He knew how powerful he was and how big he was to the average person. And so he would shrink down just so you could feel comfortable around him. And I don't know, Madonna doesn't do that. You know what I mean? Lauryn Hill don't do that. Michael would shrink down. So you
I don't know. I don't know if I would call it that. Maybe that's what it is. But he sometimes just carried on like it was a normal day.
Yeah. And he's not a normal day, he's a normal guy.
This is normal. This is normal to him.
Yep.
I was prior to coming on, I thought about the time when we was in New York for the Ebony, was it Ebony shoot or Italian Vogue? It was one of them. We stayed in New York, and we stayed at the Carlisle Hotel. And we happened to stay at the time. This is during the all the heads of countries, heads of state would meet in New York at the UN. And we was maybe, I don't know, maybe 5-6 blocks from the UN. And this is when all the heads of other countries was in town, and they happened to be staying at the same hotel as we were. That morning, I got up, called Mr. Jackson's room, let him know we had to be somewhere at a certain time. He said he'll be ready in a few minutes or whatever. He got up, got himself together. I went to his room, knocked on his door. He came out. I was in I was in front. BJ was behind him. Mr. Jackson was in the middle of us, and we're walking toward the elevator. And as we're walking toward the elevator, we have on our suits, with our earpieces in, and we're walking toward the elevator. And I saw a door open up, and other guys came out, and they were in suits too, earpieces. So I knew there was some dignitary. I knew it was somebody. And the guy seen me, and he said, "Well, I need you guys to stop and hold off and stand down and go back to your room." And I said to him, I said, "No, you stand down. You go back to your room." And he said, "Well, who's your protectee?" And Mr. Jackson was standing behind me. So I moved to the side a little bit just to let him see who it was.
Yeah.
He saw that was Michael Jackson.
It's Michael motherfucking Jackson.
He told his team, he said, "Everybody stand down." Oh my goodness.
That's the power of Michael. Like, those are the most precious stories.
Everybody stand down. Everybody stand down.
I love it.
And we're gonna go back to the room. And he looked at me, he said, "How long are you guys gonna be?" He said, "Can you please send the elevator back up?" I said, "Sure, certainly. Not a problem." I have to wear glasses because my eyes are very sensitive to the lights in my house.
Go ahead, do what you got to do. Let me do some shout outs in the chat while we're here. I see some new members. Marilyn St. Helena. Thank you, sweetheart. Love to see you there. Spooky Boo Girl 113 is a new member. We're going to throw you up on there. Good to have you. Welcome to the chat. You guys start populating the chat. Questions you want to ask me and questions you want to ask Bill, because we're not just going to be an open book. So you got us for about 45 minutes. Start asking those questions because we got the answers, and this is an exclusive. So Bill, let me cut to, okay, so you met the kids, you're in Vegas, you're working with Michael Jackson, and did you tell your family, like, "Hey, I'm working with Michael Jackson"? Like, what did you tell were you allowed to?
The only one I told at that time was my daughter, and she didn't believe me.
That's funny.
She said, funny. "Yeah." She said, "Yeah, right, Daddy." I said, "Okay."
So I go so far back with the Jacksons. They know, like, my dad, and they know my family and everything, because the way I dealt with the whole family, I just got sucked into, like, I call it this vortex of a gazillion people, and you just have to navigate your way around. So everybody knows. So I knew Michael towards more the end of post trial, that horrible trial that happened in 2005. I knew Michael from that part of his life mostly to the end of his life. Specifically in the last year of his life, we were very close. We were painfully close. And I can say this, and we'll get to this story, but I remember asking him, because he called me one time and there was a lot going on. This Is It was happening. Frank DeLeo had just come back in, but there was this horrible man named Tomei that was managing Michael. And I remember Michael called me. He was infamous for calling at like 3:00 in the morning from an undisclosed number. And I still to this day have trauma every time I see an undisclosed number. I'm like, who is calling me? But I remember he called me and he was like, I don't know where all my money is, and all this is it stuff is happening. And, and I asked him who was around him, and he started describing people around him and some of his security. And I think some of the Nation of Islam had come back. And he said, "But Bill was supposed to be here. And I didn't really know you well at that point." And I was like, "Well, where is Bill?" And he's like, "He's supposed to be here. I think he's coming. He's coming." And this was like maybe 2 weeks before he passed, because it wasn't that long after. Right. And he was convinced that you were coming, but God bless him, he was embarrassed because he had not paid you all of your salary. I think that was something that was sticking to him, and he was extremely embarrassed about. And he was just like, "I don't know where all my money is, and people are moving my money around to the point I can't pay people I know I owe." And you were one of those people. And he was in a place, and I could tell he trusted you, because he was in a place where he was calling your name. Like everybody always talks about towards the end, he wanted his dad, Joe Jackson, and he was calling his dad, and he was. But for me, he was looking for you. And I don't know what that was, but I want you to know that your name came up.
That's interesting to know. I knew, because at that time I was doing more communicating with one of his attorneys, Peter Lopez.
Peter Lopez, rest in peace, Peter.
And, he had been texting me, calling me, emailing me, where you guys at? But at that time, it wasn't so much about the money that we were owed at that time. It was more of solidifying the contracts that if you want me and Javon to go to London,
Go
we need
further. Yeah.
to explore that part of the businesses. So at that time, they had us contact or had us in contact with the people from AEG,
Right.
and I was getting so much of "we'll call you back, we'll
The
call you
bullshit.
back." Well, Michael already has security, and I'm talking to people that don't know me. I don't know them.
And
They
they
don't
don't
know
know
really
Michael.
what's going on. Right? They don't know what's
They know
going on.
Michael.
So, you know, it was. I just took. I felt it was a controlling thing that these people had
Mhm. Yeah.
over him,
Yeah.
just trying to dictate what was going on around him.
Yeah.
And but just trying to get that part of the information straightened out before we got on the road. I got one final email from Peter Lopez, and he said, Michael really wants you guys here in LA. He doesn't trust these guys. He wants
Mm.
trust these guys around him. Who that was, I don't know. So
I know who
yeah,
it was. I know who he referred to, but there were so many new people around him that he was just very uncomfortable, and everything was moving lightning speed. The minute This Is It was announced,
oh yeah,
everything was
he
moving
mentioned
lightning
that.
speed. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
that was the
crazy how
focus
much.
that he talked about.
Yeah, I mean, Michael knew his world and he knew his life. And so my role, so I'm on the other side of this. I'm on the television entertainment side of things and just also a family friend. And we had started filming, we started in 2008,
Mhm.
contracts and all that stuff, but we had started filming the Jackson Family Dynasty. And it was really all about the brothers coming together. And for that one last time, and then Michael announced This Is It. We didn't know he was going to announce that. He announced This Is It. And I was like, oh, this fits perfectly to
I,
our TV.
I remember getting emails in reference to that show that
Yeah,
he was supposed to make an appearance on.
he was. He was. So it came down to very few people had contact with Michael. Like Raymond Bain was gone at that point.
Right.
Tomei was in the fucking way, but he was there and he was always in Michael's ear. And then Peter Lopez was there too. He was cool, but that Tomei character was the person I had to deal with a lot, and I was instrumental in helping him get him out. And then Frank DeLeo came back into the picture. So there was a lot of overlap with people.
Oh,
There
yeah.
was another, Mr. Jackson had put another person in there so it was a mess, right? And I always tell people, you knew Michael at a quieter time in his life, and I knew Michael at probably the second worst time of his life, because it should have been happy times. It should have been like everybody around him was excited about This Is It. He technically was excited about it. He was shocked at how fast the ticket sold. I remember one time I had a conversation with him and he was like, you don't know what it feels like. And he started crying. He was like, you don't know what it feels like when the whole world thinks you're a monster. They think you're a child molester. You don't know what it feels like. And I was like, the whole world doesn't think that though, Mike. It's a few assholes that think that, but the whole world doesn't think that. But at the time, he couldn't see that. He couldn't feel it. He couldn't see all that. What we see now, people were not showing him then.
Just to have that one individual, whether it's one or two individuals that felt that way, that bothered the hell out of him.
Yeah.
I recall we were in the mall in New Jersey, and there was a bunch of people there when they noticed him, and they yelling, "I love you." He's yelling, "I love you" back, and it was a lot. It was a good moment, to see the fans and the support, that was receiving at that time. But somebody from afar, not too far, but you heard him scream out, "Child molester." We identified the individual. We kept our eyes on him. But when we got back to the vehicles, Mr. Jackson, said, the radio was on. He said, "Hey, turn that down, turn that down." We turned the radio down. He said, "Hey, did you guys hear someone say something very mean?" I looked at BJ, from Javon, and I'm shaking my head, no, say no.
Yeah.
Okay? I heard it. I
Of
didn't
course.
want him to confirm that he heard it. Because, listen, the way things were at that moment, had we confirmed with him, yes, we heard someone say something very mean, he would have been on the next plane to Bahrain.
Yeah.
Trying to go to Bahrain. No, was not. I wasn't trying to leave the States. Not at that time.
Yeah. I can tell you, we all wanted Michael to come back from Bahrain. I had a private conversation with Mrs. Jackson in the kitchen, and she's like, Michael needs to get his butt out of that Middle East right now. And I was like, wow, what's going on? This is when Tomei first got in there. It was getting ready to be announced. He was getting ready to come back to Vegas. I lost track somewhere in there when he finally did get stateside, because when he got stateside, I was like, okay, he should be fine with the usual suspects around him. Like, I didn't know you were there, and I just kind of moved my life on. And honestly, I was dealing with brothers.
We moved around a little bit. We went to, well, certainly we stayed in Vegas for a little bit, and then we went to Virginia. It was in Middleburg, Virginia, about an hour outside of DC, and he stayed on this huge, what do you call it? Like I don't want to call it a plantation, because that's what it was at one time.
It is what it is.
It used to be a slave plantation, but they certainly remodeled it and everything. It was like almost looked like a resort, a vacation. I mean, it was dark at night, no lights, but it was beautiful during the day. He stayed in this huge house. We stayed in 3 houses down, not too far from his. But during that time with the kids, everything was great. I mean, they were great.
See, you knew a different Michael that almost
there was
every
no visitors.
conversation.
Yeah, it was good times. No doctors. I heard someone say, "Oh, he always had a doctor with him," which is definitely not true.
No.
But no, it was good times.
Yeah.
He was doing depositions in DC.
Yep.
So we would drive into DC, and things was smooth. But it wasn't until we left there. We stayed out there about 3-4 months. Then we went to. He wanted to go to Jesse Jackson's birthday party in LA.
I remember that.
Yeah, and
he did go.
Yeah, he did go. Yeah, we flew out to LA. Stayed out there for a couple of days. That's when that was an interesting time.
Financially, it was, because
it was interesting.
Yeah, I remember Londell McMillan was.
Londell stepped in and helped us out a lot.
Yeah.
He was the one that got Mr. Jackson back to Vegas. We rented one of those big buses, looked like a tour bus, and drove him and the kids from LA. I was already back in Vegas, so they drove the kids back to Vegas, where I received them.
Okay.
And stayed at Green Valley Ranch
in Vegas.
Stayed there for about a month, and then New Year's Eve was coming around, so Peter Lopez made arrangements for him to stay at the Palms. So we moved him into the Palms Hotel. He was
good friends with the Maloofs, who at the time owned the Palms. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right. And so we stayed there, stayed in the Hugh Hefner suite. Stayed there for a little while, and things it was not good times.
Yeah. It was I call it the lean times. It was lean for him.
There was a lot going on.
Yeah. And it's not that Michael didn't have the money. It's just people kept hiding stuff.
It's the people that was controlling the money.
That's right. So I want people to know that is a myth that Michael died broke. He did not die broke. He had money. The catalog, as you can see now, will always earn that man money. And he knew that. Whether he leveraged it or not, he knew it would always earn money. And he knew that even in death, it would be 5 times the amount, and so he was never, ever going to be broke, but he was very much stressed about where there were so many tentacles of people touching stuff that should not have been touching stuff, including his money.
I think his biggest, for me, one of the biggest mistakes he's made was he trusted too many people.
Way too many.
But that was his nature. That was his heart. But he trusted too many people to have control over huge amount of finances.
Without checks and balances. Like he did. So let me take a step back. So you knew Michael towards the end, right? I knew Frank DeLeo was there from Victory Tour days, even before Victory Tour days. And so I had tons of conversations with Frank before Frank even passed. Love him or not, Frank had a machine around Michael that let the star be the star, and everything just kept elevating. John Branca was there at the time. Him and Frank DeLeo didn't get along, is my understanding, which is why you don't see Frank in the movie. Because I'm like, how do you do a movie without Frank DeLeo, who orchestrated almost all of that,
Right.
like the Thriller era, all of that stuff? But I will say during that time when he was at, the juggernaut of who Michael Jackson was becoming, the king, he had a little bit more stability around him. And the vultures came after that. There was always shitty people from Motown all the way up. There was always, and that's just the music industry. But once he became king of pop, everything got so twisted, and he couldn't trust left or right. He could not trust anybody because everybody lied to him. And then people would play this game, and they still do it to this day to the brothers. People would play this game, especially people that are up to no good. They would play the game like, Jodi's no good, so don't talk to Jodi. Yeah. Bill's no good, like, so
yeah.
And you and I don't defend myself. I'm like, whatever. You think I'm not good? Fuck you. So I'm not going to defend myself. But they are very expert at doing, just carrying on it behind the scenes to make Michael distrust you, because easily all of those family members have trust issues. Easily because of who they are.
Several months had gone by before we hadn't been paid for several months, and we didn't talk to him about it. We didn't know. We knew who was responsible. He had a management team, and they were responsible for making sure everybody got paid, make sure the bills was paid. And the times that we went through a period of not being paid, we didn't go to him, but he knew something was off.
Yeah, he told me that there was a vibe.
Yeah, he knew there was a vibe. Right, the vibe was off because known times. He gets in the morning. He get in the vehicles. He's very cheery. The kids cheery.
Yeah,
BJ was always great for being very cheery.
Yeah.
I was more quiet. But he'd say good morning. We're like, good morning, Mr. Jackson. And BJ will always ask him how was your night? How was your sleep? We're gonna have a good day today. He was always cheery.
Yeah.
But after not being paid for some time, that cheeriness went out the window.
Yeah.
Jackson got in the car.
Real talk.
I mean, hey, he got in the vehicles and we didn't speak. I mean, unless he spoke to us, we wasn't speaking. Just
right. No. Real talk. Yeah.
So, and then he asked us what was wrong. And I looked at BJ and I said, sir, we haven't been paid in several months. And that's when he said,
we won't say her name. Yeah.
Get Ramona on the phone. Got on the phone, tell her listen, you got to pay these guys. These guys are taking care of me and my family. Without me, this machine doesn't run. So you're going to take care of these guys, right? Right? She said, yes. Another few weeks went by again. We weren't paid. And we didn't want to continue to bother him.
Yeah.
We knew the people that was responsible for this.
Yeah.
There's
a lot of artists that don't know who pays what. That's not his responsibility.
There was a point in time when he said, Bill, he said like a big check came in today and you guys are going to get paid this week. Great. We're looking forward. At the end of the week, he says, I have some bad news for you guys. What's that? He said, the check that came in was went to my attorney, and my balance with him was bigger than what I thought it was. So he just kept the whole check. And we're like,
for some shit he probably didn't do.
Yeah.
The attorney didn't do. Yeah.
Listen,
that was the game. That was the game they played.
Yeah, it really was. It was a big game. We was even told that, hey, if I was you guys, I would just quit. And so the expectation that we should just walk away.
Yeah. That was a way of controlling who was around Michael. Like they were trying to push you guys out. Yeah. So let's talk about some fun stuff.
Sure.
The last conversation I had with Michael was probably 2 days before he died. I think he died on a Thursday and it was like Tuesday.
Mhm.
Michael was famous for calling and disguising his voice. Even when he was tired and exhausted, like, because everybody hears the rehearsals that this is it. He looked really thin and he wasn't doing well. Everybody hears those stories. There's other stories during that time, and
He
that's
was
what I want
always
to talk
thin.
about. Yeah, he
He
was
was
always
always
thin.
thin. That
He
period.
was
That was no health crisis. That was just him.
he was
Yeah.
super thin though, because he was not eating the way he
Yeah.
needed to eat. But in addition to those stories, there are stories like he would call, and again, Michael would just call it, like, I don't think he had any concept of time, because I, would get up at 5 a.m. My kids were toddlers at the time. And so I was like, I got to get up at 5 a.m. and be on the set to direct. He's calling me at 3 o'clock in the morning, with this long, a quick story, a quick question that would be 4 hours long, and it's like, Mike, I got to go to work. And so he called and was like, man, you know what's going on, Jodi, right now? And I was like, what? And he had a nickname for me, but I won't say that. He's like, you know what's going on? And I was like, what? He's like, my feet hurt. I was like, your feet hurt? And he's like, my feet hurt. And he just kept going on about he's like, I got this ugly toe. And he started going on and on about some ugly toe. And like, he died 2 days later, but that was the Michael I
Wow.
knew. Like, he was still making light of himself, and still finding humor and lightness in his world. And, for all that he was going through, the only complaint he had was that his feet were hurting. And I was like, you're the king of pop. Why your feet hurt? You need me to come over there and crack those toes? Like, and that's how we got down. But I still was like, who's around you that your feet are hurt? In the back of my head, I'm like, why is somebody not taking care of this man? What's going on? And it was just so much going on at that time. But I want fans to know he always found a fun moment, even in the bullshit, because it was always bullshit.
Always.
Constant to this day. Constant. The man's not even here. Constant bullshit.
we used to watch. We used to take him and the kids out, and the kids would happen to see a playground, and they would ask him, could they go? And he'd be hesitant, and then he'd say, okay. Well, it was just a kid. We couldn't let him out the car with the kids, and people would know there was other kids out there with their families. So we didn't want people to see him. So we let the kids out. I remember I stayed in the car, and BJ took the kids over to the playground, and they're wearing BJ out. He's picking them up, putting them on the monkey bars, and they did on the swings. They're all over the place. And Blanket, I remember he was so small, and he had all this hair on his head. It would always get in his face, and he would fall. Oh, he would always fall. And Mr. Jackson would say, Bill, watch this. Look at. He said, watch this. Look at Blanket. He's gonna fall. He's gonna fall. Up there he goes. He fell again. And we would just be sitting in the car laughing at him. And it was just, it was just those.
See,
funny
I didn't get a chance to see Michael the dad. I didn't get to see a lot of that, because I was always on the crisis side or clean up some mess side. So I never got a chance to really see Michael the dad. And I just hear all these wonderful stories about how well he could cook. What I can say is that Mrs. Jackson taught all her boys to cook. Like, they all can cook. And put their foot in it, cook.
It was a lot that we wondered about who was doing what, because there was a time when Grace was traveling, so she wasn't there, because it was often time that she would come in with groceries and just do whatever she did. And but there was a time that she was traveling, so Mr. Jackson would call, Bill, the kids need more cereal. Cool. We go out and get the cereal that they like.
But who was supposed to be doing? Didn't he have a personal assistant at that time?
Nope.
It was just you guys.
Just us. Nobody was there. It was just us.
You know what? God puts me in the right places, because I would have been so instrumental had I been put in your life at that time. But I'm glad I wasn't, because it would have sucked me into that siphon of.
It was hard not to have a personal connection with him.
Yeah.
Realize you're the only ones around, and he dropped his guard with us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He dropped his guard. He shared things with us. He shared how he felt about this one, that one, things. And he always promised us, don't worry, guys, things are going to get real better real soon. Don't worry.
Yeah.
And so he ensured us, or reassured us. So we stuck it out.
Yeah. You're loyal like that, though. He felt
the level of integrity had to be there. We cared about him.
Yeah, and he felt that.
So
he felt that.
We had to write it out. But when he would things like, Bill, we need more detergent. Yes, sir. And we're saying to ourselves, who the hell's washing clothes? That's
Right.
what washing clothes. Because the kids was young. Listen.
That's funny.
He was doing it.
So let me tell you my Michael story. And Jermaine said something very similar to me about washing clothes. Mrs. Jackson raised her sons to be able to stay. She didn't raise them to be superstars, right? That was an accident. They didn't. That was Joe Jackson. She raised her sons so they know how to cook, they know how to clean, they know how to make their beds. Like she raised her sons like I raised my son. My son can do all that and stand on his own. And so one time, Michael was in that big mansion in Bel Air or whatever, and he was like sending somebody out to go buy him some drawers. That's what I gotta send somebody out to buy me some drawers. And I was like, what happened to the ones you had? Like, why are you buying drawers? The end of that story was like, you know what? I'm just going to go in there and hand wash some. And he's like, Jodi, I'm a man from Gary, Indiana. I know how to wash my damn drawers. And I was like, and he didn't say man. He used a different word. So I was like, he's like, I'm just a man from Gary, Indiana, a brother from Gary, Indiana. I can hand wash my drawers. He's like, I'll just wash them and I'll put them outside and let them dry. And I was like, please don't.
Yeah, we
don't want that on TMZ. Please don't.
I think he washed his. He did laundry. That's what we know.
People don't know those things.
So
that's funny. So and Jermaine did the same thing. Jermaine was like, I'm an N-word from Gary. I know how to do what I got to do. Like I'm like, all of them are real cool like that. They're real cool and very down to earth. Very down to earth.
Yeah, we all have to understand. There was a point in time in their lives they didn't have much of anything.
Or anybody outside themselves.
They had to figure out with what they had. So that humbles you. You know, when you do become a position that you're in a better financial position, you don't forget when you did not have this.
Right.
So,
and honestly, Mrs. Jackson reinforced that humility all the way to this day. Like I think she is the humility, and Mr. Jackson was the driving force that got all of them. Like right now they're in their 70s and they still get on stage. Bill, I wish I would. I wish I would. I don't love anything that much. I'm gonna be on stage at 70. I went to see Janet and I was like, Jan, dang, you was up there 2.5 hours. I was sitting down by the third song with my fat ass. So I was like, they have a work ethic that is not matched anywhere. Beyonce, definitely. But we're talking about people that are in their 70s, came out in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, and rocked it all the way to now. And people don't understand the depth of what that commitment looks like. Like, I'm glad people are seeing Michael in the movie and the commitment he had, because Michael very much was destined to be the king of pop. He wanted it. He positioned himself that way. He told his family. And Jackie always tells me this story because I'm like, Jackie, you drove your brother crazy. He was like, Jodi, one time when he was recording Thriller, he's like, I heard Billie Jean. I was like, that song ain't shit. That ain't gonna be shit. Michael was like, yes, it is. And Jackie was like, no, it doesn't have the feeling of Can You Feel It? That song ain't gonna be shit. That ain't gonna be shit. He goes, and Michael just kept pinning it on the wall, like Billie Jean's gonna be number one. Billie Jean's gonna, and then Thriller's gonna sell millions. And he's like, damn, that shit didn't blow up. I was like, that's the kind of brother your ass was. Yeah. But they meant it lovingly. Like they tease each other constantly like that. And Jackie was just like, I thought that song wasn't going nowhere. And Billie Jean was the thing that just changed everything. It just changed the trajectory of Michael's entire world. And so to hear his brothers clowning him about it is funny. It's hilarious to me. I'm like, y'all must have drove your brother crazy. Tell me about how strong Michael was, because Michael had a wild sense of humor. He loved to make prank phone calls. He would call me at like 2-3 o'clock in the morning and disguise his voice. Like he would do, I'd go, hello. And I'm like halfway listening. He'd be like, and I was like, what? Yeah. I'm like, what the fuck? Who is this? Mickey Mouse? I'm like, Mike. Mickey Mouse.
He did that to me a few times.
He loved doing that.
Yeah. Or times when I would call him in his room and he would answer the phone with a different voice.
Completely different voice.
I thought I was calling the wrong room. And
he got me every time. Yeah. And then Taj did it to me one time and I thought it was Michael. So Taj did it. He was like, I'm Minnie Mouse. And he kept saying, I'm Minnie Mouse. I was like, fuck you, Michael. And he's like, Jodi, it's Taj. I was like, oh, sorry. But your uncle got me too many times.
I recall a time when he said, Bill, have you guys ever had this chicken from he loved chicken from Wingstop. And
Wingstop?
Wingstop.
Oh, the little chicken wings. Yep.
Yeah, he was fairly new at the time. And he said, "You ever had these chickens?" You know, so you got to try it. He said, "I'm going to get you guys some wings from Wingstop." And so I believe Grace had gone out and got the wings, and then she brought them to us outside the house. She said, "Here, Michael wanted me to get this to you guys." We was like, "Cool, we're starving." We got these wings. He gave us these wings, and they were the atomic wings. Hotter than anything I've ever had in my life. Oh my God. These wings was blazing hot.
And he was eating like Kool-Aid, huh? Like the Jacksons love
He gave them to us, and not too long after, he came out the door and he stuck his head out. He said, "Hey guys, did you like the wings?" We had to say yes. But no, I ain't like that. No. But we said, and he that was the joke he was pulling on us, because he must have tried them wings already.
And they were burning hot.
Burning hot.
So Marlon plays a lot of jokes like that too. Michael and Marlon are the closest in age, right? And so they like everything about these guys, because I posted on my my Instagram a clip from the Jackson Family Dynasty, and it's about the brothers are all in the studio and they're just trying to warm up, and Tito's in there cracking the whip, and all they do is just they Jones each other. They're brothers, and like people don't understand this is what a Black family does. They're not trying to cut each other apart. It's just the way they loved each other, and and to me it was very refreshing. But it went viral, so I want to show the clip real quick while we have some people here, and see what people think. And Tino was like, "Y'all flattering your woman's asses." I'm like, those dudes. Wow. Now picture Michael in the middle of all that, trying to get his vocals down. Like, it's just a lot. It's a lot. They're really a lot of fun, and they're just brothers. There's nothing else to say. And Jermaine says it best. The media tried to use Michael's hugeness and his big personality and his superstardom to drive the family apart. It was never them. It was the media trying to depict it that way. Like, he loved his brothers, and I'm sure Joe's looking down from heaven right now, looking at that very scene. Like, that's why I have my belt, because they were wild.
He created, we hear about the discipline that was handed down.
Yeah.
But listen, he created a dynasty, and I don't know whether it came through that discipline, but I'm a firm believer, and I've said it before and I'll say it again. If Joe Jackson didn't do the things he did, I don't think there would have been a King of Pop.
I don't think so either. I think Michael still would have been uber talented. I think all the brothers would have been uber talented, but they would have been doing it in a steel mill, and we would have never seen it.
There's a discipline that he enforced in these kids, and you do not become as famous outside of that unless you have a discipline.
So let me tell you my experiences with them. So I work with like New Edition, and I work with a lot. I've had my own radio station. I've had other record labels. I work with a lot of artists. Right. The Jacksons to this day are the only ones I never had to go, okay, it's 5 minutes to when you're supposed to be on stage, or it's 5 minutes for where you're supposed to be. They show up early. They are the most disciplined people I've ever seen. They show up early. They would show up before me on set, which was embarrassing. Like the first week, I was like, damn, I need to get my shit together because I'm the director and they're there before me. And then the other thing they would do, because we had to kind of understand all of them, how they all thought the way they did. They weren't just this, 5-headed monster. They're very different. Right. And so Lori, who's my sister, she was also one of the EPs. We'd be like, how do they keep getting in the production office without us seeing them? Because they would, I'd go in my office and come out, and Marlon would be standing there. And then I'm like, okay, well, where'd you come from? I see you come through the front door. They were masters at a very young age of going through back alleys and through kitchens and through different ways to get into restaurants and get into offices without being seen, because they were mobbed so much as children. And I was like, that one little thing taught me a lot about how hard their childhood was. Like, all of them had that instinct to slide in without being seen and slide the fuck out. And they sure would leave without me knowing, because I'd be like, okay, I need you, to do something. They would just sneak out. Like, where'd they go? How are they disappearing like that? But that's they are just a different family altogether. And I don't think you'll ever see it duplicated. And I equally credit Mr. Jackson and Mrs. Jackson, because it took two of them. to do that. And what other family on this earth has 6 members of their family in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
You know, you're not
6,
gonna see that.
the 5 brothers and Janet.
Mm-hmm.
You ain't never gonna see that. So
No,
I
no.
give the Jackson family all my love and loyalty because they've been great to me. We've had some rough times together. I've been there. I mean, I was there when Michael died. Like when they got the call, like I told one of the brothers, and so I ended up being the one to tell Jackie. And I see Jackie tell the story all the time where he's like, I was on the phone with my sister. It was actually me, and I flew him in he was in Vegas with Your Majesty and with Jafar. And those are Jermaine's kids, and they were visiting Uncle Jackie, and I had just left Vegas, and I was
Oh,
driving
yeah,
back to
I
Vegas.
live in Vegas.
Yep, Jackie lived in Vegas, and I had just left Vegas because Jackie and I had dinner the night before. I'm on my way to LA to actually go have a meeting with Jermaine, and I'm driving in the car, and Jackie called. Well, Jermaine called, and I could hear Mrs. Jackson on his other phone upset, and I was like, "What the fuck is going?" Like, immediately from the tone, I could tell something was wrong. And then Jackie called me at the same exact time Jermaine called me. Jermaine kept going, hold on. Jodi, hold on. Mother. And he was talking to Mrs. Jackson on another phone. Chaos just immediately. And then Jackie, I clicked over and I got Jackie. I'm like, Jackie, I got Jermaine and your mom on the other phone. What's going on? And he's like, Jodi, somebody just came. And he was so upset.
Yeah.
He was so upset.
Yeah,
He was in a restaurant. And he was like, somebody just came up to me and told me Michael's dead. Is Michael dead? The fuck is going on? Is Michael dead? And he said it like 10 times.
Yeah.
And I was like, I have Jermaine and your mom on the other line. I don't know, but I'm guessing it ain't good. He was still alive at the time and they got him to the hospital, but like the rest of that day was just absolute torture. It was so hard to get that family under one roof to get to their brother. Marlon was in Atlanta. Jackie was in Vegas. Jen, I think, was in New York or something. And everybody that was close to the family was just trying to get the family in Los Angeles so they could be there for their brother. And what people don't understand is they are a family.
Right.
That night, we were all at Jermaine's house after we left and Jermaine announced that he was gone. We were all at Jermaine's house and it was just Jackie, Tito, Jermaine, myself, Mrs. Jackson was there, and the wives. I always say the wives. They were all there. But Jermaine and the brothers called me in the front room, and Marlon was on his way. He was on a plane, and we got in the front room, and Tito was like, "Jodi, what the fuck happened? There was a doctor with my brother. What the fuck happened? There's a doctor with my brother. He shouldn't be dead." And they were so in shock that after we talked for about 30 minutes, one of them fell to his knees and was devastated because it just hit him at that moment, like Michael's gone. And I just remember feeling so powerless. And it was just me and the 3 brothers. And I think one of the maids kept coming in. They were like, get out of here. And then Mrs. Jackson was just so hurt. And I will never forget those moments. They ended up being trapped at Jermaine's house for a while because the news and the media started coming in. So then some people from my staff and myself were bringing in food every day at Jermaine's house where Jackie was staying, where Jermaine was staying. Marlon had finally got in there with his family and we couldn't even get food to them, and I remember in the news seeing the media play it out like something else was happening, like the Jacksons of this, the Jacksons of that. I'm like, these people can't even get out their house to mourn their brother. They're not in here plotting some bullshit and plotting how to make a press announcement. Like, it was so offensive. And then like weeks went on, right? And Michael had not been buried, right? And the press at that time kept saying the Jacksons are just dragging their feet to bury him because it took like 9 weeks or something. And, this is private information, but they had done an autopsy on Michael. Mm-hmm. And Mrs. Jackson just wanted her son whole to bury him. And they were just waiting on a part of that. And it took long. And so but the media was literally like, the Jacksons are making a spectacle. The Jacksons are doing this. And I was there on the front line, like, no, the fuck they're not.
They want to keep anything controversy in the paper. That's, anything negative, they wanted to drag it along. The level of respect was not there. It was that was a hard.
It was terrible. It was terrible. And I
Yeah.
remember somebody from TMZ called me and they were like, Jodi, what's the deal? We know you're on the inside because had long been filming with the whole family at this point. And I'll get to the TV show, how it impacted the TV show, because we were supposed to go to the O2. The brothers were going to go and do one specific show with Michael. And
Okay.
we were going to surprise the world. Like the brothers all got back together. And I was so excited because it took me a long time to get Michael to say yes to that. He had just said yes a couple days prior to his death. And Frank DeLeo called me and was like, we're at the Staples Center. Come down tonight so we can sign a couple things. And I was like, I can't because my son had a neurology appointment that night. My son had epilepsy. And I was like, I can't. I never, ever not do things for my kids. My kids come first. So I didn't go.
Right.
And 2 days later, Michael, and we were like going to go see each other on Sunday. We were going to have brunch on Sunday at the Bel Air Hotel. And I was like, okay, cool. So it was going to be me, Michael, and I think Frank was coming. And Michael died that Thursday, like 2 days. It wasn't even a full 48 hours later he died. And I could not forgive myself for not going that night. Like they told me to. I was supposed to go that night and I didn't. And I couldn't forgive myself for that. But I remember it was somebody at TMZ called me and they were like, we know you're on the inside. What's going on? Why is it taking so long to bury Michael? And, what's going on with the family? I was like, can his mother just bury him like she wants to? Like, what the fuck is wrong with y'all? Like, it's not about press. This is it's her child. Can she just bury him the way she wants to? It ain't subject to the media. And I remember that person is still at TMZ and he cursed me out from A to Z. Oh, you just like that. Yeah. I was like, you can cuss me out all you want. Leave these people alone. Leave them alone.
It's strange because when I got the call, I got the call from my mother.
Oh.
Prior to her calling me, my phone had been blowing up and I wasn't answering the call. I was preparing to go to LA.
Yeah.
I just said, fuck it, I'm gonna go. And I told BJ, yo, I'm gonna go out there, get situated. I'll send for you and figure out what's going on. And I was preparing to go to LA. I get a call. My mother called me and she said, she said something like, please tell me it's not true. And I said, what's that? She said that Michael passed away. I said, Michael who? She said, Jackson, your boss. I said, no. She said, well, it's on the news. I said, because there was a time we were in Virginia and I was driving. Jackson was in the back seat. And the guy on the radio was playing. The guy goes, I'm sorry to bring it to everybody's attention, but Michael Jackson just passed away.
And he's sitting right there.
I said, Jackson, did you hear that? He said, what's that? They just said on the radio that you passed away. He said, oh, I get that all the time.
I'll be honest. So when Jermaine first called me and Jackie first asked me, he was on his way to the hospital. And I was like, please, God, just let it be one of Michael's things where he just doesn't want to go through with the AEG show. And it's his thing. Like he would sometimes get sick just before a big show. And if he didn't want to do it, it gave him a reason to pull out. So I was like, maybe this is one of those moments where he's just doing his thing and he's okay. And it wasn't.
Well, there was a time when I believe it was 10 shows is what it was supposed to have been. But he said, Bill, they want me to do 50 shows. Now, all I ever really did was listen to him.
Right.
I had no advice for him. We were worlds apart, and any advice I could ever give, anything I gave him was an ear to talk to.
Yeah.
And I had no advice. I just listened to him when he said, I can't do 50 shows. He
told me that so many times, and he's like, I'll be 50 years old doing
I'm just, and that's when he said, people come to a Michael Jackson show, they want to see a Michael Jackson show. They want to see him perform from start to finish.
At the top of his game.
And I just listened to him. I never had any advice or tell him what to do. But again, I just gave him someone that he could trust enough to just listen to. And that's what I did. But
I remember when he called it This Is It, I asked him, I was like, I told him, I was like, I hate that title. And he was like, why? Don't say hate. Michael, don't say hate. We don't say hate. And I was
like that, yeah.
I don't like This Is It. It's too final. There's a certain finality about it. And I said, Michael, you will be over when you decide it's over.
Not when the look at it, because he asked me once, He said, and I didn't know what he was saying. He said, Bill, how would you feel about living abroad?
Hell yeah.
No,
Yeah, I know.
no, that wasn't anything I've thought of. So
Yeah.
if that was his plan, that he was going to do this and do this overseas. And one thing people have to understand, why he was doing it overseas. Because the plan for him when he came back to Vegas, he was going to be a headliner in Vegas.
Yeah.
Okay, they were going to build an arena for him.
I think it was at the Wynn, like Steve Wynn or somebody was putting something together.
Yeah, it was Steve Wynn and another gentleman.
And the Vultures. There were a ton of Vultures involved on that.
And once that was even mentioned, any and every lawsuit that he had, these people would come to the house and try to serve us security with the papers. And sometimes they would throw the papers, the subpoenas, over the fence. And I would go get the water hose and push it off the property. But there was a lot of that,
Yeah.
So
tell me how strong he was, though, because I know you have to go soon, but there's a funny story with a stick that you you guys, everybody, you guys are going to hear another Bill exclusive, but I want you to become a channel member, because if we're going to do this again, you need to be a member of the channel in order to hear these exclusives. Go for it, Bill.
Well, I'll tell people oftentimes, Mr. Jackson was no punk.
At all.
He was not a punk.
Nope, he was Gary, Indiana.
I'll tell you two situations. One was when we stayed in Virginia, his management team hired a security company, another couple, about 5, 6 guys security, to watch him at his house. I was there, but I was there doing things for him.
Yeah.
He needed me to run errands, go buy this, pick this up for the kids. So there was a security team at the house where he was, and they were nearby the house to where when they would sometimes just sit in their vehicles. But whenever he came outside the house with the kids, and there was no other houses around, so we weren't worried about people, any intruders. But anytime he and the kids came out the house just to be in the yard, was the front yard or backyard, that security team would get out their vehicles and kind of follow them. And he didn't like that.
No.
He would call me, Bill, I need you to tell these guys to go down the street. I don't need them that close to me, because he didn't know these guys.
Right.
I don't need them that close to me and my kids. And I would call them, his manager, and say, hey, Mr. Jackson wants you to pull your security team back. He don't want them that close to the house. Now, either she didn't listen to me, or they didn't listen to her.
Right.
So one day he called me on that phone. He said, Bill, didn't I tell you to tell these guys to get away from my house and me and my kids? They're too close. And he said, you know what? Never mind. I'll handle it. He hung the phone up. And I said, let me get up to the house as quick as I can. I got up there. I had to drive up, to the house. As I pulled up to the house, Mr. Jackson was coming out the house. I'll never forget. He had on some black slacks, white socks, black slippers, a white V-neck T-shirt, a shower cap with a black hat on top of the shower cap. And he had a stick in his hand. He came out, and I jumped out the car, and I said, Mr. Jackson, I got it. Did you handle it, Bill? Did you handle it? Listen, he was pissed.
He had a little Joe Jackson in him. They all got that.
He was pissed that day.
Mike was no punk.
It's so crazy. I still have that stick.
Oh, you should have brought it for today. Show and tell.
Another thing I found today. Well, I didn't find it, but I just see it all the time. But the phone I had before he got a phone, but this was the phone. I don't know if any people have ever seen this type of phone before. And it's like,
is it the flip phone?
It's like the
old school little typing one. Yeah.
Yes.
It was like a BlackBerry or something back in the day.
And I was going through the phone numbers, and these are the people that he used to be in touch with: Steve Jobs, Adam West, Oprah,
Batman.
Yeah, Batman. Yeah. Yeah, got a call from him one day. Was in the car vehicle. He called the phone. I said, "Hello, may I help you?" He said, "May I speak to Michael, please?" I said, "Yes." Who's calling? He said, "Adam West." I'm saying to myself, "Adam West, Adam West." Name sounds so familiar, Adam West. And I handed Mr. Jackson the phone, and they spoke for a little bit, and they talked, and he handed me back the phone. I don't like being in this business, but I had to ask. I said, "Mr. Jackson, if you don't mind me asking, was that Batman?" Oh, he said, "Yes, that was Adam. That was just Adam. Yes, we're working on a huge project. You wait and see. We're working on something real big. What that was, they were going to buy Marvel."
Marvel. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
Now, what was that manager's name? My brain is getting so. That was Dieter Wisner was working on all that stuff back in the day with Michael. Dieter Wisner was working on that. I don't know where all these people are because once Michael passed, I'm like, I don't know where all these people came and went. But
Mr. Jackson was the machine.
He was.
He was. Bottom line, he was the machine. And
tell us something about Michael's personality that people wouldn't know. Like, did he use the Michael voice with you, or did he use his regular voice?
Always a regular voice. What's the Michael voice?
Well, if he was shy and like media was around, it would be soft spoken. And then when he was home, he had a little bass in his voice. Like, he had a lot of bass in his voice.
Well, to me, he was always soft spoken. Just
they all have that soft spoken thing, but
when he got angry, when he was venting after a bottle of red wine, he vented. It was on. Yes, and there was times that I would be on the phone, just listen to him vent. And why won't they just leave me alone? I'm not some circus animal. Just leave me and my kids alone. And I would be in my room on the phone, and I'm looking in the mirror, and I'm like, oh my God. I mean, he's going off.
Yeah.
He's mad he's naming certain names.
Yep.
And he's pissed. And one time he goes, "I should call my father and have him come and kick their ass." I'm saying to myself, he talking about calling his daddy to kick somebody's ass.
Who was 80 something at the time, like, right?
Yeah, right.
But doesn't that speak volumes? So my name's Jodi, and of course, Mr. Jackson was Joe Jackson, and some of the brothers call me Joe or JoJo. And so I remember one of the first calls I had with Mr. Jackson when we were doing the show. Jermaine's lying ass called Mr. Jackson and said I said something. And then Jermaine called me and was like, "Jodi, Joseph's gonna call you. I said you did da da da." Jermaine had done it, but he was like, "I said you did it, so just go ahead and cover for me." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" Next thing I know, Mr. Jackson's on the call, and I said, "Hello, how you doing, Mr. Jackson?" He's like, "This is Joseph." I said, "Hi, Mr. Jackson. I'm gonna still call you Mr. Jackson. I heard your name is Joe. There's only one Joe in this place."
You know.
There's only one Joe, and you think you're gonna get my sons to do this, that, and the other thing? You wouldn't have no job without my sons, and my sons wouldn't be here without me. He gave me the whole Joe Jackson speech. I was like,
he gave it to me.
Did you get it? Because I was like, "Wow."
That time he came to the house. This was about a week after Mr. Jackson coming to town, and he came to the house. Said he wanted to see he said, "I'm here to see my son." He said, "I'm here to see my son." I said, "Yes, sir, Mr. Jackson." Went inside. Mr. Jackson was inside. He was reading a newspaper. I said, "Mr. Jackson, your father's at the gate. He would like to see you." He paused, and I know he heard me, and it wasn't that far from him. He just flipped a couple more pages in that newspaper. He said, "Does Joseph have an appointment?"
Michael was playing in your face.
I'm like,
he set you up.
No, because we had an itinerary of people he would be speaking to that week, where he needed to go, where the kids may need to go for their school. There was a full itinerary of who was going to be calling, who he needed to call. And hey, no, his father wasn't on that itinerary. And when he asked that he have an appointment, I said no. He said, "I'll tell Joseph he needs an appointment." I said, "I'm not going out there to tell this man's daddy that he needs an appointment to see his child." No, right. No. I wish my daughter would get so huge that she would tell me how to climb that fence.
Right.
But
right.
I went out there. I said, Mr. Jackson, I'm sorry, but your son is in the studio and music is real loud and I can't reach him. If you want to take my number and I'll, make sure you get in to see him tomorrow. And he told me he didn't need my damn number.
He was tough, dude.
Oh, yeah. He was scary. That's what it was.
But you know what it was? Because towards the end, he wasn't like, I always tell everybody, and the brothers will tell you this if they're being honest, because they would say it about me. They'd be like, oh, if somebody asks something of them, they'd be like, oh, ask Jodi, she's the boss. But before that, they'd be like, ask Catherine, she's the boss. And you got to be a strong woman to lay side by side with Joe Jackson, raise 9 kids, and step by step be able to survive that and still outlive some of your kids. You know, Mrs. Jackson is strong. That is a strong woman, and she is so spiritually grounded that you can't be married to Joe Jackson and not be able to be like, Joe, hush.
She had to. She had to, man.
Yeah. So I've seen her go, Joe, hush.
Yeah.
Like, and he'd hush.
Yeah, she definitely. I would like to think. Like I said, I didn't see too much of their interactions together, but I can only assume that they've been around, have been together for as long as they have, and raised. How many of them is it? How many kids?
I think there's 9 kids. It was 10 because Marlon was a twin, but his twin was stillborn.
Right. Okay.
But there's 9, and then there's a gazillion grandchildren. Because they're very close. Like all the grandchildren, all the cousins, they're all very, very close. And I'm just so happy, coming to today, Jafar is doing so well with the movie. And I'm just so happy for Jafar. I've seen Jafar since he was little. I've known him since he was little. I had a difficult time seeing the Michael movie because Jafar is Jafar to me. I cannot, and I will never, ever see Michael in him. He babysat my kids. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't see Michael. And quite frankly, knowing Michael and knowing his real story, movies are made to be. I kind of fall where Paris and Janet fall with their opinion of the movie. I'm glad it's doing well. Absolutely glad it's doing well. But I had read an early version of the script and I was like, it feels like a CBS after school special. And if you're gonna tell Michael's story and you're in control of the story as the estate, tell the fucking story. Tell all of it. Tell all of it. Tell it. Michael was a very multi-layered person, and he was complicated. You know what I mean? And we can love him to the end of time, but he was complicated and he was very 3-dimensional. And I just feel like the script that I read it felt like a CBS after school special. And I was like, I remember the brothers. I was like, y'all ain't even in the script that I read. Like, I don't know how you do the story without Jackson 5 in it. So there was just so much missing, but that's the nature of movies. And I come from that world, so I get it. But I could not promote the movie. And you can look up and down my timeline. You will not see me say a thing about that movie.
Well, I haven't seen it.
No?
So I haven't seen it yet. Eventually, I'm sure I would.
Yeah.
Just right now, I'm like I said, I don't do too many things Michael Jackson other than.
Yep, me neither.
I like to continue to spread the word. It's one of the reasons why I continue to do podcasts and interviews, because I want to continue to speak on the individual that I knew, the good man and good person, because there's so much negativity out there. You got these two guys, Wade and Safe Chuck or something.
Safe Chuck. And the Casios, which I can actually, I know the family can't say nothing.
Casios, I'm so disappointed.
Disgusting.
And those folks, I'm really disappointed in them.
I did talk to Grace. I talked to Grace the other day. You asked me the other day if I had talked to Grace. I did talk to her the other day.
Good.
She's in that same space we are. Like,
really? When we stayed back east, when Mr. Jackson told me he was going to be staying at their house, because there was a hotel we stayed in, maybe 4 miles out from their house in New Jersey, and when Mr. Jackson told me, Bill, I'm going to be staying, I'm not going to be staying at the hotel, but we were preparing rooms, where he's going to stay, routes. And when he told me he was going to stay at the Casios house, I was reluctant. I didn't know them at the time.
Right.
Yeah, I really didn't know them. I met them because they came to visit, but I didn't know them.
Right.
I didn't know the family like that. So,
right. What year is this? Set the time frame for me. What year is this about?
That was late 07.
Okay.
It was late
Okay.
07, September, October. Yes. Yeah, because I remember the kids being at the house for Halloween.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Late 07.
So for those that don't know, the Cassio family, Frank Cassio and whatever his brother's name is, they're a family that Michael was very close to for whatever reason I never understood. And they were very much in Michael's life and involved with his kids. And Frank was a child and grew up with Michael. Michael took them all over the world on tour. Frank became his assistant at one point, or like a personal manager or something. But Michael took very good care of that family, the entire family. Took them all around the world. Stuff that me and my kids didn't get, and I was working my ass off. And for them to now come forward and say that Michael molested them or abused them, whatever the fuck they're saying right now, is just absolute utter bullshit. Let me look in this camera and say it. It's utter bullshit.
Definitely. I'll second that. Utter bullshit.
What people need to know is Safechuck and Wade and Cassio's, all these people think Michael's gone, so I'm not hurting Michael. You're very much hurting his kids and his mother, very much hurting his family. And you know you're fucking lying, because what people have to remember is those first two people, Safechuck and Wade, they were part of the trial. And not only were they grilled by Tom Mesereau to see if they were going to be good witnesses, and Tom Mesereau was not playing games. You needed to be able to come in and be solid and tell your story. But they were also grilled by the prosecutor. And the prosecutor would not have put them up there if there was, the prosecutor would have got it out of them if there was molestation at that time. So how do you go from in a trial under oath, under extreme circumstances, telling that truth like he never did anything to me, to now years later, like, yeah, something happened at Neverland, even though I wanted to get married there, and get the fuck out of here. None of that holds water.
They sold their souls.
They sold it. And you know what? People love Oprah, but I'm like, Oprah should have never gave them a platform to even speak that bullshit.
No, not at all. No,
Yeah.
it's a shame. And anyone, I think, for any man to be accused of hurting a child,
right?
That and you put that in the public's eye, especially if you're somewhat mysterious.
Yeah.
As Mr. Jackson was, he didn't give many interviews, so he didn't share much of himself. So it left people to assume.
Right.
They assume that when he opened his home up to children, they assume things. So many people are quick to say, well, I wouldn't have. I said, you're not Michael Jackson.
Right.
Even people say what they would not have done.
Right.
I mean, if he
But people would, like, Michael's presence would literally heal kids. You know what I mean? Like, he would go to these hospitals all over the world, and people would be so inspired by him that their health would get better. Like, I'm not saying he's Jesus, but he saw that too. And so he was like, when the trial happened, his attitude was, people aren't going to tell me how to live my life. I'm never going to not live for kids. Like, you're not going to tell me how to live my life. Right. So he kind of doubled down. Just before the trial, he doubled down. And that's why he got in so much trouble during the trial. Because he was like, you're not going to tell me how to live my life. And that stubborn part of Michael doubled down when he should not have. And
he's going to do things his way.
Yeah. And I just feel like that was the slippery slope he should not have gone down, because the rest of it just became a debacle. And they hit him where they knew it would hurt him most, with kids.
Yeah.
With kids.
Or just to put any form of accusations out there. Like that they knew that would hurt him. That would when people ask me, what do I think killed him? Or what did he die from?
Broken heart.
Stress.
Yep.
And stress kills.
Yeah. Yeah.
When we was on the road before the This Is It started to form, when we was on the road traveling, yes, there were nights I seen him up late at night, but it wasn't every night.
Right.
So there was no one there to help him sleep. There was nothing he was using to help sleep.
Right.
But when this Is It thing came about, and everybody was coming out the woodwork and everybody wanted a piece of it, he didn't know who to say yes to, who to say no to. He didn't know. Everybody was coming. Those were the vultures that each one spoke of.
Here's so people don't know, but he got clean again. Right? I can't remember what time frame it was, but there was a doctor in Florida, or like his name was Florsheim or something like that. He told me the doctor that got him clean, he got Michael really clean, right? And it pissed me off when he died, because if you look at Michael's autopsy, he didn't have all of the drugs that he had previously been addicted to. He didn't have all that in his system. All he had was the propofol, because he was clean. He really wasn't on Demerol. And at a certain point, like towards the end, I did see him coming out of Arnie Klein's office in LA and Hollywood, coming out like just high out of his mind. And I could tell. And this is another sort of private story, but I actually ran into him by accident coming like on Melrose, and he was just so out of it, like way too high. And I remember telling Jermaine and his mother, like, you got to get a hold of Michael, because I've never seen that. And and conversations were had and steps were taken, but it was hard to get to him. But I did see that. But my point is, his autopsy doesn't have all that Demerol and stuff in his system, because he really was trying to make the best of that tour and do the best he could, because he wasn't going to set foot on that stage and be half-assed. He wasn't going to do that. No, and all he set out to do privately was just to do one more show than Prince did. Remember, Prince did the O2 and he sold it out like 13 days in a row or something like that. All Michael wanted to do was do one more than that, just to break that record. He wasn't looking to do 50 shows.
He was definitely going to do that.
Yeah. So
break that.
Yeah. So what was your relationship with the kiddies? Because I know you have to go soon.
Well, we with a lot that was going on. I mean, from having to rush out of hotels, rush out of the house one night, we were told we had to get him out of the house because a former employee was going to come there and they were going to climb the gate, and they put him in panic mode. So he called me, Bill, we got to go. We got to leave. We have to leave. And he's in real panic mode. I mean, him and the kids are in the house packing up suitcases with flashlights. But he didn't want to turn the lights on because he was panicked. And I'm pissed that they pissed him off.
Right.
I wasn't going to let nobody come. Anybody would have climbed that gate, they'd have got dealt with. But,
right.
But they put him in that mode.
Put that fear in him.
They need to put that fear in. I didn't like that at all. So we shielded the kids away from a lot of things. We shielded them because we wanted nothing but happy times, smiling times with them. I think the only time I seen Prince cry is when we had to leave his dog behind when we left Vegas. We were leaving. No. We took the dog with us to Virginia. But we had to leave the dog in Virginia when we flew to LA. And the only time he cried the whole time driving to the airport. But I assured
what did Michael say? Tell people how Michael handled it, because that's what people want to know. Like, what kind of dad was he?
Well, Mr. Jackson assured him. He said, Bill is going to have the dog sent, right, Bill? Right? You're going to have the dog sent, right? Right. He's trying to reassure Prince. Don't worry about it. Bill is going to have the dog sent. When we get back to Vegas, Kenya will be there. And I made sure the dog was flown from Virginia.
Oh, Bill.
Back to Vegas. And he was happy as could be when he got his little Kenya dog back. But I'll tell you before I go, a funny story. Kenya stayed in the garage. And we, at one point in time, before we got our security trailer, we stayed in the garage too.
With the dog?
With the dog.
Nah, Mike.
And that dog used to take some serious poops in that garage. And only because we was in the garage too, it stank so bad we would clean it up. We would mop the garage. But it came to a point we are protesting. We are not cleaning up the shit no more. That's Prince's dog. Prince used to come out there. He would jump over a big pile of shit, go get a treat, give it to his dog, kiss him, and come back around, jump back over the pile of shit, and go back in the house. We're not cleaning the shit no more. So there was a day in which we had to go on security detail. We was taking Mr. Jackson to. He had a meeting, I believe, at Tao Restaurant in Vegas.
Yeah. Oh, I love Tao.
We backed the vehicles up into the garage. Mr. Jackson came out, got in the vehicles. We're driving down the street. All of a sudden, and I'm in the passenger seat, BJ's driving, and Mr. Jackson in the back seat, and all of a sudden you hear Mr. Jackson go, "Oh my God, I stepped in mess."
Dog shit.
He said, "Yes, I stepped in dog mess," and we was like, and we could smell it in the car. He said, "I can't go in there like this," and we was already past the house several miles. So I said, I told BJ, I'm gonna go into there's a Gucci store inside Caesar's Palace. I said, I'll go in there, get him some new loafers. We got the new loafers. And but when we got back to the house, he must have read Prince a real good one.
I bet.
Prince came out the house. "Bill, do you have any gloves?" I said, "Yeah, what's up?" "Daddy said I have to clean up the dog mess."
He didn't spoil them. I mean, people think he spoiled them.
Yeah, he told him. He got on him. So, as sad as he looked at that moment, I told him, "Listen, don't worry about it this time, but next time, you got to clean up behind your dog, friend. This is your dog." He said, "Okay." He said, "Okay." So we cleaned up that last time, but moving forward, he would definitely clean up behind his dog.
Who was the most like him at that age? I would think Blanket. We call him BG, but
well, Blanket was a little rebel. Mr. Jackson held his hand the most.
Really?
Any stores, anywhere we went, he held Blanket's hand because Blanket would run off. He would run off. He ran off before. We was in Barnes and Noble. Mr. Jackson got mad at me. We were the only ones in the store. We went to a Barnes and Noble. Like they closed at like maybe 10 o'clock. I made arrangements with the management to open back up at about 10:30 for Mr. Jackson and the kids, and they would be in there for a couple of hours, picking out books, reading books. And there was nobody in the store but me, store manager, and probably one associate. And Blanket was somewhere in the store. Mr. Jackson looked at me. He said, "Where's Blanket?" And I'm like, I thought he was with you. He said, "Bill, no, you have to keep an eye on him." And I'm like, "Oh my God." He said, people can. He said, "This is how people steal kids."
Yeah.
I mean, but I'm like, I'm Mr. Jackson, we're the only ones in the store. Doors are locked, but he didn't care. He didn't care.
Nope.
He didn't care. He was pissed off.
Those are his babies. Those are his babies.
Find Blanket around the corner, sitting down behind a bookshelf, reading a book where you couldn't see him. And yeah, you little fucker, get over here. You know what I'm saying? And
he's the most, I think, like Michael. I don't know Paris as well, but I would say that.
Well, at that time, he always wanted Paris to be a girl.
Yeah.
He wanted her to be girly.
Yeah.
He felt that she was around nothing but men.
Yeah.
Two brothers, security. He said, but he always wanted her to be, because there was times that he asked me to go shopping for her, toy shopping, and I would bring my daughter with me.
Oh,
girly stuff.
Yep.
And but he always wanted her to be girly. But yeah, they had a tight relationship because she was a little girl. He took her out often by just her.
Aww.
Not just her birthdays, but he would just take her out so they can have daddy-daughter time.
On a regular day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was we would just take them to a park sometime, and they would just where there was nobody. Because sometimes we had to scout a park. We had to scout out Vegas. Where can we take him where he can get out the car and just hang out?
Yeah.
But I tell you, there was this one time we were in Virginia. We took the kids to Chuck E. Cheese, and Mr. Jackson, we brought him inside as well, but he had a mask on, not a mask, like a scarf, and he sat like over in the corner, just watching his kids doing what they do. And we would tell the kids when we're out in public with your dad, you can't run up to him.
Right.
We don't want people to know.
Because nobody knew what they looked like at that point.
No, No, they didn't. But
Yeah.
Paris wasn't having it.
Yeah.
He was sitting over in that corner, and we're standing back. We're in street regular clothes, so nobody knew who we were or who we was with. But nobody even knew who he was because they couldn't see
Right.
his face.
Right.
And sitting over there, and Paris went over, ran up to him, pulled his little mask down, kissed him on the cheek, and put the mask back up. I saw this little girl watching, and she was staring at him. And she looked at Paris, pull that mask down off of him, give him a kiss, and put that little girl looked, and I said, "Oh my God,
It's over."
That little girl said, "Mommy, it's Michael Jackson." He got up so fast and walked out the front door. And
Oh, wow.
The front door behind him, and I'm like expecting to be followed by everybody.
Yeah.
He moved so fast. I mean,
Yeah.
he got to the car. He's trying to open the door. He said, "Bill, open the door." I said, "I don't have the keys." BJ got the keys. He's inside. And so he just walked across the street and walked inside Staples.
Michael?
Yep. Went across the street, went into Staples, walked up into a umbrella rack, bunch of umbrellas on the rack, pulled the umbrella out, popped it up in the store in Staples. So he's walking around the aisles. People looking, but they're not sure.
Right. Because you wouldn't think it's him.
But we're in Chantilly, Virginia. What is Michael Jackson doing in Chantilly, Virginia?
You would never think it was him.
Right.
Too many lookalikes.
It was a scary moment because I didn't know what was going to happen. We couldn't get in the cars because BJ had to stay inside with the kids. He couldn't leave.
Right.
Keys. So when I said I couldn't open the door, he just left me and walked across the street, walked inside Staples. And I'm trying not to run because I'm not trying to be obvious, but it was interesting times.
He would, I think, still be alive if you guys are in place and Grace was back there. Like, there's a lot of controversy surrounding who was with him and all that stuff towards the end, but I feel like if you guys were around him, he'd probably still be here. And if I had been embedded a little stronger, I avoided working for him because I knew it was a lot. And so I was better off just being a confidant or a friend, but I didn't
like to believe that had he had more of a solid connection with his family,
yeah,
he would be around as well.
Yeah.
That's just me. They were family.
Yeah.
And that was family. And I think that during hard times, you should be able to count on your family.
Yeah. It's a complicated relationship we have with every single one of them. But
I'm sure.
So I'm gonna go to the chat and see if we can pick a question, or do you want to pick somebody from the chat that you can gift them a book? Because I see a bunch of people.
You pick somebody and get their information and send me their info, and I'll get a book out to them.
You guys have one chance to ask us one question in the chat because we're about to wrap up. So hit the chat, let us know what you want answered, and we'll hit you in like 2 seconds as soon as I see them. Come up with your questions. Somebody said, "I want a book." Bill, tell them where they can buy your book while they're coming up with their questions.
Well, right now they can go to my site, rememberthetimebook.com, and they can purchase a book. All my books are signed personally by me, packed by me, shipped by me.
Wow.
And right now, all my proceeds from book sales do feed. We just did a food drive, a give out, better yet, on the 4th of July, which was the first Saturday of each month that we do it. And we pass food out. Right now, I'm about to partner with Three Squares here in Las Vegas. Is a food bank where they distribute a lot of food to schools, homeless shelters. So we're going to partner with them and make it a little easier to be able to get in touch with our homeless population.
I love that.
Make sure they get fed and try to get some old clothes to them, and just try to keep that part going, because there's so many people that are less fortunate that Mr. Jackson really wanted to help out, tried to help out, and did help out. So we want to try to continue moving. So
I'm so glad to see Prince picking up that torch and doing what Prince is doing. He's doing a great job.
Yes, I heard he is.
Especially on the humanitarian side. He's doing a great job. All right, let me look in the chat. So you guys go to, is it rememberthetime.com? Is that what the website is?
Rememberthetimebook.com.
Rememberthetimebook.com. Okay. Rememberthetimebook.com. Get the book if you haven't gotten it. Download the audio and watch the movie because it's all great. Bill, there's got to be a part 2 to your book, right?
You know, we have enough info to do another book, because there's so much that we not only endured but witnessed and watched Mr. Jackson deal with and go through, that we would definitely love to do another book. But we were really hoping that the estate would be part of it, because that way we can use some of his music.
Yeah.
In time, because our first book, they didn't allow us. We would love to, them be a part of it. But if they choose not to,
you gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah.
The bottom line is it's still your story. It's still your personal.
But again, we would love that his estate would support it at least.
Yeah.
They supported it. We think we could distribute it bigger.
Yeah.
Right now, yes, fans across the world. I've sent books. I've sent books to Iran, China, Switzerland, Germany, Australia, all over the world. I've sent books everywhere. But that's his fan base, which is a great thing. And
right.
But that's what we wrote. I wrote the book directly for his fans. It wasn't for those, if you're not a supporter or a believer now, I don't think you're gonna be one.
Yeah.
But again, he has gained new fans from the movie, certainly.
Absolutely, yeah.
But if you believe otherwise, if you believe that he was the individual that a lot of tabloids pointed him out to be, then you're going to believe that, and that's fine. The book is not for you.
Right.
If you're a supporter and fan of Mr. Jackson and his, his goodwill and his good meaning, to the world, like I've often said, he felt that his music was a cure, was an antidote.
Yep.
And brought people together, which I think it has.
Yep.
And I just want to continue that. And
his nephew Taj and I talk about that all the time. Like since Michael left and since Prince and Whitney, we just feel like the atmosphere is just totally different in the world. Like there's just been a cosmic shift since Michael passed, and it's just never been sort of the same happy-go-lucky world. Right. And it's interesting because one of the questions in the chat said, before the one that's on the screen right now, D. Brown the Great said, since Michael and Prince passed, there have been many stories about them actually being friends and spending time together. That is true. I do know that. That is very true. Prince actually wanted to date LaToya. He had a crush on LaToya. But Michael and Prince were friends. They had a mutual respect for each other. They weren't buddy, but like they weren't going to go hang out anywhere. And there certainly was a healthy competition between the two of them. will.i.am tells some really funny stories about Michael and Prince in Vegas. And so
I was there.
You were there for that?
I sure was.
Oh my God. Tell it.
Well, will.i.am and Mr. Jackson were working on some
together,
working on some things. And will.i.am was also working with Prince. And Prince happened to have he had a residency in Vegas.
Yep.
And he invited Mr. Jackson to a show. First, Mr. Jackson, did turn it down. Because from just a small conversation I heard him and will.i.am have, he mentioned something like, he said, Prince doesn't like me. He said, no. He said, what? He said that's what he's heard. And he said, well, you should come to the show. And so we geared, he decided to go to the show, Prince's show. We geared up, went to the show. We sat about maybe 2 tables away from the stage.
How epic was that, Bill? Just like stop and tell me how epic that was. Because I would have.
It was, I was waiting. I was hoping that after the show, that we would go backstage.
Oh, you
And
didn't?
no, no, that
That's
was planned, but Mr. Jackson came in and Prince started performing on stage. And, Prince playing that guitar, and he did his little walk around the audience, came over to Michael Jackson's table, and he sat there. He put his foot up, put his foot up on the seat where Mr. Jackson was, and he's playing, and he's looking at him, and they looking at each other, and then and then Prince went back to the stage, and Mr. Jackson looked at Will and him. He said, "Why did he do that?" And we're just standing there like, this is
wild.
Yeah, this is. So we're hoping. Yeah. So toward the end of the set, Will.i.am said, "Mr. Jackson, we're gonna go backstage, and talk to Prince for a little bit." He said, "No, I just want to go home to my kids."
Oh,
so
he didn't want to mess with that.
It was whatever that dynamic was and why I don't know, but it was an interesting.
Lenny Kravitz has a couple good Michael Prince stories where they were in studio. The three of them were in the studio together. And first of all, I love Lenny Kravitz, so I would have just died being in that room. And it was all about like they just were trying to outdo each other. Like they both had their makeup on, and they were just trying to outdo each other. Like they were competitive down to the wire like that. But I know Prince respected Michael. Oh, yeah. And I know Michael definitely respected Prince. They had a long-standing relationship.
Listen, had they came together musically wise,
right,
they would have owned the business.
Right. I always used to say, at the time of their death, both of them weren't signed to a label. If they had just come together and done their own label and put that shit out,
owned it. They would have owned the business.
Blew it up.
It was so much similar.
Blew it up.
Both Jehovah's Witnesses.
Yep. Very spiritual.
Both going through drama with their
family,
former record labels.
Yep.
But they were so much alike, more than people realize, more than they even realize. But
more than they realize.
Seen them. I wish prior to working with Mr. Jackson, I did a 2-week tour with Prince.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, I went on tour with him back in the late 90s.
I would love that.
I went on tour with them. But had them two came together, it would have been magical.
I used to say to people, because Michael's fans are an army, like there is no doubt. Just look at the movie, right? Absolutely. Biopics don't make that kind of money. He has an army of fans, and people have seen it 2 and 3 times. And I used to say,
there's a lot of new fans too.
Yeah, new fans too. And I used to say to anybody that would come up to me and dog Michael out, I would say, you're so lucky that man doesn't use his power for evil. You're so lucky he is a humanitarian. You are so lucky Mrs. Jackson made his heart the way she did. Because if he used it for evil, that army of fans, he said, my fans will slit your throat over me. And he knew it, but he never used it for a negative thing. He never, ever, ever did that.
I've said it before, I've been offered some life-changing money.
Yeah.
To speak on things that I know wasn't true.
Yeah.
There were tabloids,
yeah,
newspapers, outlets out there that felt that because I worked for him, people would believe what I would say,
right,
and wanted me to say negative things.
Right.
And I said to myself, I'm not doing that.
I
said, Michael Jackson has some fans that will come for you.
And
I said, nah, I ain't doing that.
This is what I don't understand. Maybe you can help me with this. I'm sorry I'm dragging this out. His fans would travel from country to country to follow him, just to follow him around. I used to be like, where do they get the money from to do that? Because they'd be planted at Neverland. They go to UK. I'd be like, why? How? I can't even afford to do that. But he has some
in Vegas. When he ended up in Vegas, and those fans, and this is when summer months came around, it was 100 and more degree, they would sit outside the gates. Anywhere from 10, 15 of them. They would just be outside the gates in their little lawn chairs. And sometimes he didn't leave the house.
Yeah.
In times that he did, he would stop the vehicles, chop it up with them for a few times. He said, "Oh, I remember you. You're from
Yeah.
Germany.
Yeah.
You're from." He
Yeah.
remembered these folks from different places.
Yep.
Hot months, he would tell us to bring some water out there.
Oh.
We brought
Celebrities
food.
don't do that now. Like people always try to compare like Chris Brown and Beyonce, and I'm like, Chris and Beyonce are fabulous, but they will never. All they can do is look up and see how fucking high the bar is that Michael set as not only an artist but a humanitarian. Like none of them have donated and done what Michael has done from his heart and with his gift. None of them have even scratched the surface. You'll never break that record.
They may have a following.
Yeah.
But if or when the day comes that they stop performing or stop doing music, you'll never hit you. That's it. That's it.
When Michael died, I remember there were like 7, 8 people on record that killed themselves when Michael died.
Yeah, I heard
and
that.
I don't, as much as I love Beyonce and Chris Brown and Drake, ain't nobody killing themselves. Like, come on, y'all. Come on. And I always get into this argument too. I'm like, because people are like, oh, Beyonce's everything. I'm like, I love Beyonce. B is great. Yes. But there's people in little huts in Africa without the internet and power that know Michael Jackson songs. Somehow they found it. And they can sing every lyric to you. And they don't have light. And they don't have food. But they know Michael Jackson songs. And they ain't singing, to the left, to the left. They ain't singing that.
I go out to Forest Lawn every year, on
the day
of his passing, and there's so many, and I just go to really pay my respects. I'm not there to be part of the fanfare. I have on my glasses, and I'm just incognito. I'm just chilling. But if the fans that have seen me, and they'll stop and they'll look and they like, "Are you Bill?" And I'm, yes. And they would start crying. And I said, stop. I said, no, we're not doing that no more.
Yeah.
Okay? I said, we done cried enough tears to fill a river. We're not doing that. We are celebrating now.
Absolutely.
We are celebrating his life. We're not, but these fans, they cry for, and I'm like, and I got to hug them and just, we're not doing this. It's okay. It is okay. And there's some fans I've met that came in from Mexico, and I asked them, have they read? I said, you read my book? What book? Okay. Have you seen my movie? What movie? I said, when did you become a Michael Jackson fan? They said, after I seen his movie.
You late to the party. I mean,
I'm like, oh. Okay.
I go back to Jackson 5 cartoon. I used to get up and break my neck to watch the J5 cartoon on Saturdays. Like that, I've been there since day one. Day one, I've been there. And for me to have grown up in this little girl in Boston and then end up working with them at the height of Michael's career and at the time he died, I always question why I was placed in that spot that I was placed in, but I will always be loyal to it. Let me shout out a couple people. Hey, Michelle, I see you in the chat. Michelle Yvette, all my Facebook people. There was a question I liked about Conrad Murray. Where is that? Let me see. Somebody asked me something about Conrad Murray and if I ever met him. I went to, with the family, the very first hearing for Conrad Murray. I don't know why I was there. It was me and the family, Mr. Jackson, and a friend of Mr. Jackson's. We were all there. And I remember when Conrad finally walked in and just remembering how strikingly tall he was. And I was like sitting right behind him. And I was trying to be dignified because Mrs. J was there and everybody, the Jacksons don't show out. I'm not a Jackson. I was like, this motherfucker here. Like I wanted to rip his head off. You had one job to keep that man alive. One job. And he walked in there and looked at the family. I was like, "Ooh, don't even look over here." And Jackie was like, Joe, you can't do. I'm like, "Nah, I'm not a Jackson. I don't have the couth, you guys. I'm not a Jackson. I can say whatever the fuck I want about this dude." To answer your question in the chat, he did not look remorseful. He looked like he was being put out. And the way he looked at the family, he looked at them for sympathy. And I was like, "Ooh, they're gonna set me loose on this dude. They need to set me loose." And Jackie was like, don't. And Jermaine was like, "Get him, Jodi, get him." Jackie was like, "No, Jodi, don't do that."
I say this about Dr. Murray.
You knew him, right? You met him, right? Because yeah.
Oh yeah, I definitely met him. No matter what people may feel that he did not get enough time, it doesn't, to me, it doesn't matter, because he's always going to be labeled as the man that killed Michael Jackson. And that is a death sentence. You're going to go around for the rest of your life with the label that you're the man that killed Michael Jackson.
Yeah. And you got to go to sleep with that in your head.
Right. So whether you're in jail or not, you will be in your own mental prison. And that can't be comforting. It can't be.
Yeah. I mean, he had one job. You had one job. If I were to cross that line, Michael would have been hooked up to my goddamn arm, my IV pole, and all kind of machine. Like, if you're going to cross that line, and let's be honest, that wasn't the first time Michael ever used propofol. He used it almost the entire history tour. And he woke up. But Conrad Murray, whatever the fuck he was doing, just wasn't right. And it destroyed a lot. It destroyed. It was a very bad decision that destroyed a lot. It was a bad decision for Michael to choose him, but it's a bad decision to use propofol too. And I've always been on record like I wish Michael had never done that. But no, Conrad Murray didn't look remorseful whatsoever to me. And when he looked at the family like for sympathy, I was like, this dude is gonna make Jodi from the block pop off.
Well, like I said, he's got to live with that, and
he does.
Plenty of sleepless nights.
All right, so I know there was a couple people in the chat that wanted to hear more about Michael and Michael's girlfriends. So we're going to use that as part 2 because I have to run, and we've been on here, and you've been so gracious. Okay. I would like to thank everybody in the chat. There's been a couple people that bought your book just now. There's a couple people that said they just ordered it. Can't wait to read it.
It's come through.
Yeah, so that's great. So thank you guys. Thank you, Bill, for being on here. For those of you that became members, we are going to do these little Michael Jackson sessions. I'm thinking like every 2 weeks, once a month. Some family members are going to come on, but mostly insiders from Michael's life because I'm actually working on a project that has to do with that. So we'll be here to talk about it, but you have to be a member and you have to click that link that I put somewhere in the chat. And I'm also going to end this on a scene that we did with the brothers from the show. It was a scene at Jermaine's house, and all 4 brothers, I had just told them that Michael said they could come to the UK for the O2 show. I had just told them, and we were getting ready to shoot the scene, and then Michael died like maybe a week later after the scene. So I
wanted his kids to see that too.
He did, and he was really like, it wasn't like he didn't want his brothers on stage. He just needed to figure out all the minutia. So we were getting into all that, and the carpet got ripped out. But here's a scene exclusive from Jackson Family Dynasty. I will be showing the episodes. We did 6 full episodes. It's a 1-arc thing. I'm going to show all of it because you cannot find it anywhere online right now. And become a member, and you'll get to see clips plus all the behind the scenes that go with it. Bill, people are telling you how much they love you in the chat.
Love you back.
He's got the best fans in the world. So I'm just going to put a couple more comments. Thank you, Bill. I'm going to run this clip. Bill, if you want to jump off while the clip is on, I love you. I'll be in Vegas on the 23rd or 24th. I sent you the dates, right?
Yes, you did.
We got drinks to have.
Yes. Looking forward. I got to run my stuff. I got to go down to the NBA summer league. Oh, in Vegas right now. Okay, go ahead. I'm going to put this clip on. Thank you guys for the fans that are here tonight. And here's a little clip for you. This is what you'll get a taste of when you become a member. Bye. Love you, Bill.
Nobody can stop us.
My guys. And I think it was maybe a week after that Michael passed. And so there's a lot of wonderful stories about filming that series that I want to share with the fans that I've never talked about. And it was in 2010 when it actually started to air. And, we're sitting in 2026, and I actually haven't come to terms with a lot of the stuff that happened in the behind the scenes while we were filming that show. So I'm excited to share it with the fans. Thank you all so much for being here. Become a member so that you can get more clips of the Jackson Family Dynasty. I'm going to run the pilot episode in about 2 weeks. So tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend if they want to see it. They're going to see the pilot episode with some bonus footage. And we're giving some commentary about how we went about filming that episode. Rest in peace, Papa T. I love my Tito. I miss my Tito. I love and miss my Michael. And I will always be dedicated to the Jackson family. Peace, y'all. Take care. And let us know in the chat how we did tonight. Go on this page after I get off here live. Go and make comments and tell people to tell a friend because I actually enjoyed this tonight and I was a little bit nervous. So bye, y'all. See ya.